what I started doing was, when I was 297, I thought about, my God, man, like this could be my life. And I thought, okay, what does heaven look like? I don't know. No one does, I imagine. So I was like, okay, I imagine that there's a big long line and you got judgment and you're God. Let's say you're God and I'm just David Goggins. And right now I'm a 300-pound man. Ecolab guy, I'm 71 years old. This is what I'm thinking at 24 years old, okay? I'm dead, I'm in heaven, you're God. You pull the paper down, it says David Goggins. I'm reading it and I'm looking at it and it has my name, but on this paper it says everything about you. Everything, because God knows all. And I'm looking at it and I'm seeing 185 pounds, Navy SEAL, changed people's lives, all these amazing things. Public speaker, blah, 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 motivational, all the best-selling book. I look at God and say, God, the name is right, but what's on here is not me. He goes, it should have been you. This was the life that you were supposed to live, but you didn't try. So this is the life that you have. I used to not be patient at all. My life made me so anxious. My anxiety was so high from my fight or flight muscle. That's what that psoas is. That psoas is your fight or flight muscle. Once again, please study it. Once I started stretching out, so you know I talked about reflection, how a lot of us, we don't take those small moments and like, my God, I lost 3 pounds this week. We're gonna lose 106 pounds in 1 week. Having my mind and my body being the way it was, so much anxiety, through stretching out, I am very calm now. So now, yes, I'm very patient. I have to be very patient because I'm going to fail a lot more in life because my goals and my standards of life are very high. With that being said, I will fail a lot more. With that being said, I better be very patient because I will succeed. But I have to be patient to figure out the equation to all of this. And like I tell people sometimes, what changed my life, one thing that changed my life was I was a big believer, or I used to love watching Rocky. Rocky won, round 14, Rocky won. Rocky just knocked down the 14th round. Apollo's beating the shit out of Rocky. Apollo turns around with his hands up in the air, thinks he finally knocked out this gladiator. And what I love about that scene is that I saw this movie at one of the worst times of my life growing up as a kid. And what I saw was this guy getting up when even his own trainer was saying stay down. That scene is about 2 minutes and 13 seconds long. And all I'm trying to give people, that 2 minutes and 13 seconds changed my mentality, how I look at things. Hopefully through the story you all hear, hopefully through my book, I will provide you that 2 minutes and 13 seconds to change your life. Not saying life is bad, but we can always do better. So we're always looking for that 2 minutes and 13 seconds to be better, to find more. And you never know what kind of form it's gonna come in. It comes in all kinds of forms. It may come in a movie. It may come in just one person saying the dumbest thing to you, you say, my God, that made the most sense. So always be open-minded to that 2 minutes and 13 seconds that could change your life. Growing up, my dad did a good job of dehumanizing me. He didn't care much how I thought or how I felt. So when I saw the military uniform when I was growing up, I thought to myself, if I can get that uniform on, I would find honor in wearing the uniform. So not only did I want to be in the military, I wanted to be in special ops. But I realized to be in special ops, you gotta know how to swim. So I got a how-to book on swimming. The first page was easy. Float. So I went to the pool, tried to float. I sank right down to the bottom. I realized I was negative buoyant as hell. The more I failed, the more my father's words were creeping to my mind about how I'm not good enough. All this other he said to dehumanize me. As time went on, I started realizing the more I didn't quit, the more self-respect I gained. And the power was all mine. In life, it's important to do one thing. Many people will try to dehumanize you. It's up to you to find self-respect and dignity in yourself. You don't need a uniform to have honor. You need to have pride in yourself, dignity. Stay hard. I wanted to make a stand. And so once I finally got through the ASVAB test, I started feeling more confident.
Right.
I can read, I can write, I taught myself something. And I worked so hard on how to swim that I started getting a little more confidence to myself.
You didn't want to go backwards anymore.
I didn't want to go backwards.
Yeah.
And so when everything got hard for me, I always went backwards. I said, not this time. So I wasn't going to quit regardless. So, but what happened was week 6, they pulled us all out, like 25, 30 guys left, and they drew my blood. They found out I had sickle cell. Sickle cell is the blood disease that some African Americans have, and under stressful situations.
It's anemia type situation.
Well, I had sickle cell trait.
Okay.
But you can still die from it. So it's called sudden death. It happens a lot. And so they didn't know. They're like, well, you made it so far. So they pulled me out of training for a week. And they want to do more studies, more tests, see what's going on. They did all that stuff. I stayed out for a week, and I got real comfortable. So when you go from being uncomfortable to comfortable, your mind's like, I'm not going back in that water. You saw your boys getting drowned and getting trashed in the water, and you're on the sidelines watching saying, So a week went by, the doc called me back up, and I'm thinking I'm going to get medically disqualified from the Air Force. I'm like, this is great. I'll never have to quit. So the doctor looks at me, doctor says, you know what, we can push you back in training. I said, oh. But I thought to myself, a week's gone by. Couple weeks left and I'm out of here, man. I made it through OLH. I can go, try to be a pararescueman. No, I went back to the CO, Sergeant Larkin, or not Sergeant Lundberg. Sergeant Lundberg looked at me and said, I'm glad you're back in training, man, but you gotta start from day one. And I was like, so my mind raced real fast, and I went right back to my old self. I had to find a way out of this. I cannot start back from day one, but I don't want to quit. So I used that medical thing as an excuse for me. I said, hey, you know what, Sergeant, I'm scared about the sickle cell thing, and no, I wasn't scared about that. I was scared of the water. And I didn't want to quit. So I found a way out without quitting, and the way out was him saying, you know what, I understand. So he gave me a medical. So I keep my head up a little bit and not quit, but my pride was shot because I knew the truth. I knew that I really quit. So when I was in 6th grade, we had a play. And I used to stutter real bad, man. I mean, like, I couldn't say a word without just going off on my stuttering, man. So whenever I'm in front of people, I tell them that. I literally walked off a stage, I couldn't get the I had one line to say in 6th grade, one line. And I literally walked off stage, I couldn't say the line. So I get in front of these people, I speak for an hour and a half. And I look at them before I start speaking, and I say, my God, this is pretty amazing. When I was a young kid, I couldn't even stand in front of 2 people to speak in front of them. And where I'm getting at is I found great power in facing my fears. And by doing that, it gave me such confidence to stand in front of a lot of people, because I now know what a lot of us are going through so much, but I had the guts to face it. I had the guts to tell people how messed up I am. How messed up I was, the struggles I'm going through. Very few people have that in them to do that on a public platform, and that gives you a lot of confidence. When you finally get to the point when you really mean, I don't give a what you think about me. There's a lot of power in the fact that you can stand up in front of people and look at them, and if you mess up or if you start stuttering, you don't care. And to have that kind of mindset, I'm finally there now through facing myself. So yeah, all those things, I don't fear too much anymore, man. And if I do, I attack it. A lot of us dream big. You should dream big. Dreaming big is important. Some of us want to be doctors, lawyers, dentists. Some of us want to be in special operations. So you have this big dream, you can see it so clearly, like it's right in front of you. You can go out and touch it. But the thing about it is, somewhere, if you dream big enough, somewhere down that journey, that dream becomes a big nightmare. And what happens in that nightmare, you start to have all these questions. Like, if you want to be in special ops, you may not be a great swimmer. You may just realize that I'm not a great swimmer, I'm not a great runner. You may start to fail tests. And all these questions start to flood your mind. Why am I here?
I'm not good enough. Trust me, I know all about them questions. They will flood your mind. If you do not have the answers for them, you will quit. The answers lie in the repetitions. You must not forget the repetitions you put into trying to dominate the craft that you're in today. Always, always embrace the suck, adapt to the suck. Stay home.